Very pleased to be joined by the GM of the Walkerton Capitals. Remember, it's the Capitals once again, Jordan Turcotte. Mr. Turcotte, how are you?
I'm good, Ryan. How are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well. It's been an exciting summer, but we all know that the fall is the most exciting time for us hockey guys. And as the GM of one of the PGHL Polk Division teams that we love to cover here at CKNX Junior Hockey, I'm sure that you tried to get some downtime this summer before the onslaught of work.
I definitely tried. It didn't go out so well. It's been awfully busy since kind of taking over there in about April that it was, and just trying to turn things around here in Walkerton. And it's been a lot of work. It's been fun. It's been a little overwhelming at times, but it's good. And with the season approaching here in less than a week and a half, it's crunch time, trying to get the wheels in motion here, and definitely looking forward to seeing kind of our new look group that we're going to have this year.
Yeah, walk me through that process a little bit, Jordan, because obviously, you take over the reins of a team. Walkerton finishing as the 6th seed last year. Now this year, obviously, it's an 8-team league with Fergus coming into the mix. But, you have history with the franchise, obviously, went through the rebrand to an old brand, mind you, last year with the Capitals look, which obviously I'm in full support of. But walk us through, how that felt, taking over and, jumping into the front office of this organization that you have a lot of personal ties to, of course.
Yeah, 100%. And it wasn't something that was, an easy decision on my end by all means. It just, with my job outside of hockey, so to speak, and it kind of made sense for me to tackle the GM side of things versus coaching when, I work shifts. So it's kind of tough for me to be there at some point in time. But I always, I'm a firm believer of giving back to your community in some way, shape, or form. And I love hockey, and I love being a part of the Walkerton organization, even from when I played, hanging around and coaching and learning from some great people along the way. And when Steve Barrett announced that he'd be stepping back after his ridiculous amount of years that he put in, which obviously was great. And in saying that, there was some big shoes to fill on that end, and Steve did a great job in the past, and it's time for me to try and live up to that and take that over. So it's like I said, it's been a little overwhelming at times, but we're here and we're trying, and we're definitely trying to more or less change kind of the culture here in Washington. That's just not from the rebrand, but inside the dressing room too. Like it goes a long way for kids with what we're doing this year, I think, and we're hoping to put a good product on the ice and finish a little higher in the standings than we did last year.
Yeah, and Steve did such a great job for such a long time, ran a great ship over there. He was always a pleasure to deal with from our end, and did a lot of winning over there. But you're right, like hockey, it's a cyclical nature. Walkerton was the team to beat for a long time, and now we've seen teams rise up like the Mount Forests and the Mitchells and the Winghams. Obviously, a big task in front of you in terms of turning Walkerton around back into that crazy winning franchise that we saw for a decade plus. Tell us a little bit about your coaching staff this year. I know that that's an important thing to nail down. Who's going to be back on the bench for you?
So Chad Haggett, who finished the year last year in the interim head coach role, Chad will be back as the full-time head coach this season. So we're happy to have him back based on what he had to offer last year in the small sample that he came in. But he did a great job, and having worked alongside with him. Talking to our president and director of hockey ops, James Lang, we just thought it was a good fit for us to kick things off with the season here. So we brought him back, and Rory Chappelle, local guy that was an assistant coach last year, part of our staff, he will be returning. We have a newcomer in Kevin Wallace. So Kevin is from the Owen Sound Shallow Lake area, and he will be joining us. And as well as the next guy on board will be DJ Selkirk, who was part of the coaching staff in Mountain Forest last year.
Perfect. That's a great bench. And obviously, as you mentioned, your head coach, he did a great job last year coming in and steadying things, seemed to really grab the room. So it's positive that he'll be back. Looking at your roster, obviously we like to start with guys who maybe aren't going to be returning. So, junior hockey guys age out, guys move on to other franchises at times. Who are some players throughout your lineup that you will be missing this year?
Uh, Quite frankly, we're going to be missing a lot in terms of kind of the shakeup of the roster this year. I kind of taken a certain approach in what I want to see this year. And as of right now, I think we're only going to have about 5 or 6 guys returning at most from last year's 20-man roster. So there's been a lot of moving parts with guys returning, not returning, can't commit, wanting to go elsewhere. As you know, we've already made a handful of trades around the league with different teams, and it's something that we have to do in terms of changing the culture and the path that I want to go down and my vision on where I see this team moving forward. As far as returning guys, I can say is we got our 2 overage guys and Sam Shakes and Graham Gateman from last year's team. They will be returning. We obviously made a trade for Vance Meyer out of Mount Forest. He'll be our 3rd overager. And currently we have an extra overage spot open right now. And then kind of on our blue line, Nate Doran, who was an AP player with us last year, he's I would say coming back to our team full time this year. And Keegan Fisher, who unfortunately battled some injuries last year, but he's healthy and ready to go in his 20-year-old season. And then you got guys like Clayton Fitzsimmons and Ethan Kerr is coming back this year, and Owen Troyer. So I'm relying a lot on those guys from past experiences and growing up with, coming up through the system here in Walkerton with what they had or maybe didn't have, and hopefully leaning on them for some expertise with some of our younger guys here and leadership within that dressing room. And again, ultimately, I'm stressing changing our culture here in Walkerton.
Well, Jordan, you've made my interview process very simple here because, you've just got a small collection of returning players there, but good ones. Sam Shakes, having him back, obviously, is gigantic. He was your leading scorer last year. He had a fantastic year, 39 points in 33 games. And Gateman, he was almost a point per game guy. He only played 23 regular season games. He had 21 points. And the other guys you mentioned are going to fit in nicely into that veteran core. Who's going to lead your team this year? Who's going to be wearing a letter?
As of right now, I we're planning on announcing that tonight, so I don't know if I can get that out right now.
You can tell me because this will not air until the week before the regular season, so we will not be stepping on your toes, Jordan.
No, that's all good. Leading our team this year will be 20-year-old defenseman Keegan Fisher. He's been around with the team now for 3 or 4 years, and he's just an all-around great kid with good leadership qualities. Local kid, wants to be here, and then wants to see the team succeed. So he will be our captain moving forward. As far as the assistant captain leadership group goes, overager Graham Gateman is going to be wearing an A full time. Owen Troyer, who's a 20-year-old, he will be wearing a letter full time. And with regards to the other A's, Sam Shakes and Marcus Patak, who we traded for out of Brockville Junior A, those 2 gentlemen will be splitting the duties between home and away.
Jordan, just in terms of some guys, you mentioned the massive roster turnover. You want to put your stamp on this roster and shake things up and get things going in a positive direction again for Walkerton. Who are some players that you have acquired that fans should be excited about?
I think for one, right off the hop is Vance Meyer. He was arguably the
Yes.
best goalie in the league last year, and I'm not taking anything away from the likes of Garrett Gawley or Riley McCabe last year in Hanover, but it's hard to argue that Vance wasn't one of the best last year and leading Mount Forest to where they did. And I watched a few other games against Stater, and he was a very big piece to their success for how far they went, which is great. They had a great team all around, but when you have a stability in net like that, you can't you can't bat an eye on it. So when I knew he was available, that was a pretty easy one for me to pull the trigger on. And I think he's going to be relied upon very heavily on our roster this year, and I think he's one for people to watch. Marcus Patak, right from day one when I heard he was available, I heard probably 20 different people text and call me say you're never going to find a harder working kid than that. in the last handful of skates that I've seen him, they're certainly correct. And I don't think that guy will get outworked in our league this year. And then trading for the likes of guys like Carter Moran out of Hanover last year, just a highly skilled guy with great vision on the ice. I'm looking for him to be one of our leaders too, that can, dish the puck to some of our goal scorers and put the puck in the net. And another big one that I'm certainly excited for is our signing of our 16-year-old Nathan Binkley. He's a Palmerston kid. I honestly don't understand how he didn't have a look anywhere else, or that no other teams were after him, because this kid's dynamite. He arguably works just as hard as Marcus Patak, and the kid's 16, so it doesn't matter whether he's playing against 16-year-olds or he's playing against 21-year-olds or guys that played in junior A or whatnot. Like the kid just out there, full of the work ethic and energy, and just ultimately has the right attitude. And again, coming back to our culture situation, is the attitude and the work ethic is what I want to see out of our group this year. We might not be the highest scoring team in the league, but I certainly think we're going to be one of the hardest working teams.
Well, man, a lot of great additions. And I mean, yeah, Vance Meyer, right away, you've got a locked in number one horse in the blue paint. That's always so important, especially for a younger team with that amount of turnover. Everybody knows they got a reliable rock back there. It's huge. Jordan, before we wrap this up, obviously it's exciting times in Walkerton. And I've joked with a couple of the other GMs I've talked to. It feels like it's the year of 50s on CKNX junior hockey this year. Wingham's 50th anniversary, obviously. You guys, 50 years of Walkerton junior hockey as well. And of course, Listowel Cyclones. Man, really incredible stuff. What's it mean to you to not only have played for this organization, but to now be such an integral part of it in such a big milestone year? What does that mean to you personally, Jordan?
It means a lot, man. Like just the opportunity itself to kind of grab the bull by the horns, as the old saying goes. But it's one of those things, like it's exciting, and at the end of the day, you just I care so much about our organization here in Walkerton, hence from playing and staying involved in the last 10 years. I know I'm making myself sound old, but it's just I care to see a good product on the ice here in Walkerton, and I'm going to do what it takes to do that, but also rely on my experiences from playing and coaching the last few years on how to treat players the right way, and talking to players in general, nevertheless, how they're treated in within our dressing room. And that's something where I mentioned James Lang earlier. Him and I kind of took on the project to completely renovate our dressing room this year in Walkerton. So these guys are walking into a brand new facility with custom lockers now, and the showers all redone, and just the true junior experience in our dressing room, which I know we didn't have, and I didn't even have one when I played, and that's to nobody's fault. But it's just you're taking on something to kind of get recruitment and retention out of these kids, and I'm not only obviously in it just for this year. I want to be a part of this for a while, and it all starts with how you treat your players and having the right attitude going forward. And I think we got that right now, and it's just a matter of getting the kids that want to be here and putting a good product on the ice, which, like I said, I'm gonna ultimately try my best to do, and put us in a good position to win and succeed overall.
Well, Turk, I can tell you, having watched you play hockey and knowing how determined you are, I pity anybody who doubts you. And I just want to say, you and James Lang, of course, have been great to deal with from our perspective. We appreciate you guys a lot, and we wish you luck this year. I can't wait to run into you at the rink, man. It's going to be a fun year, it sounds like, for the Walkerton Capitals. Best of luck, and thanks so much for doing this, pal.
No, thank you, Ryan. I really appreciate it. And like I mentioned before, everybody appreciates what you guys do over there, and it's awesome. And I'm definitely looking forward to running into you. And it sounds like we're going to have that opportunity next Friday night.
You will see me there. You will see me there. I will be part of the festivities, of course, and I'm very much looking forward to it. And if I can make a small request to you and Mr. Lang, set aside a special 6-pack for me of that team specialty beer. I haven't had it yet. I've heard it's good stuff. It's got Capitals on it. I love that. So just set aside a little sneaky sixer for me there, and we'll be all good.
I will do my best to do that for you, sir.
Thanks, pal. Thanks so much for doing this, eh?
Awesome. No, thank you, Ryan. I really appreciate your time.